Hello there. This is the SC500. I think you know about that one. Oh, there's a spec. Okay. This is the SC500 portable scratch instrument made by Rasterized, so the groundwork, and put together in this form here, the small form factor form by the people at PORTABLISMGEAR. It's portable, it's a scratching tool, and it's pretty nifty, at least for me. And I finally received the thing because they have a considerate waiting time because they 3D print the outer shell, they laser cut it, they put together the motherboard and flash it and whatever. You could do that on your own, but if you're not nifty enough, I'm neither, you buy one of those little ruckers and you scratch away. I got a case to put it in, to put everything I need, minus the headphones. I have them flying around somewhere else. But I put in POWERBANK. I put in a ruggedy looking switch to cut off the power because the SC500 doesn't have a power switch. It doesn't have a battery on its own. So the people at PORTABLISMGEAR don't run into problems with taxes and shipping and whatnot. So there are a couple of people having posted their versions, someone having had a case and put the battery under it. I wanted to have something which I can just close up, and let me put that off. Close and be ready to go. So, and that's what we have here. So, important are the inner dimensions. You need about 4.5 to 5 centimeters in height for the fader to not touch the inner. You need these are around 17 centimeters in length and about 10.5 centimeters in width approximately. The SC500 itself is 9 centimeters wide and 12 to 13 centimeters long, 4.5 in height. So, but you will need some spare room. So, okay, I try to run through this pretty quick to not bother you and steal time so much. But I think maybe this is interesting for some people. So, I put in a small power bank, 10 euros, 5,000 milliampere. It's not that. It's about 1 centimeter in thickness, and it fits in here quite nice where the platter is when it's closed. I throw in a name tag, LED name tag, flash it with some fancy little dots. Has nothing to do with it, but it looks fancy. Then the one thing I also did, I bought me a simple switch, and it has the USB connection. Let me actually put that off. So the power bank has USB-C, USB-A. I used the USB-A. I don't know why, because the position was better with the plug. And it has just the 2 connections for the power in the USB-A active. Of course, I have to put it in. Then it goes in here. This switch just takes the red and the black wires, so the grounding and the power actually. And it's a simple mechanical switch. And then I ripped off the USB-A extension cord which was coming out. I took a cheap, simple USB micro cord which fits in here. Cut off the head. Maybe I have it. No, I already put it away. And then just strip the wires, tape the non-used data connections so they won't connect, and just soldered the red and black wire to the ports here. So that's that. And I have a very simple power on off switch, because the SC500 didn't have that. The SC1000 didn't have that. I can understand, but it was a bit cumbersome for me to always like fray out the ports and put the connections in and out. So yeah, the SC500 now powers on. Let me just put the play cable back in here, and put it on. It has a considerable time of booting up. To me, it's okay. And let me see. Because I was always getting a shock how loud the thing is when it turns on, and maybe you hear that now. Let me stop that. Okay, the beat can ride a little bit, maybe not. Oh, let me stop that. Okay, so I modified the first beat and sample which loads to be starting out on a softer volume, so I don't blare my ears, pop my eardrums when it starts up. So yeah, it starts up right away. You have a USB stick on there, and there are folders on it with one reads, it's called beats, and the other one is called samples. You can throw your stuff in there. I think it's 44.1 kilohertz, 32-bit float. I don't know. You can figure that out. This version doesn't have so many problems like the SC1000 had, or I had with it, when it comes to different sampling sizes, sampling versions of the audio files. You can put your own samples on there. You can switch the samples with these buttons. You can assign cue points to the sample track only. I broke mine when I tried to fiddle with the set, where I tried to assign these two buttons to assign cue points to the beat. Okay, but yeah, trial and error, right? You can switch the beats, you can pause it, and a feature I like a lot about SC500 over the SC1000 is you can have your sample, your spindle, the platter, either playing or not. So the playhead moves or it doesn't move. So if you have it off like now, the marker is corresponding to the waveform exactly, because there's no other movement of the playhead except when you move the platter itself, and you don't even have to touch the upper part. So this is good for being more precise if you need a marker for orientation. But you can also just put it in play mode, and then the playhead is playing, but the marker of course stays there. This is more nicer for cutting if you just want to lift your finger and the playhead keeps moving, so the sample keeps playing, just like you're accustomed to do with a regular record. There are people I know, and I tried it myself, to scratch on a turntable without the platter on, to strengthen or have your hand moving more precisely to make up for the motor which is not moving then. I'm just playing. But you see, as the sample continues playing, the marker doesn't correspond. So this is one thing I like a lot. You could do that with the SC1000, but you always had to put out the USB stick, put it in your computer, tamper with the setting file, which is a text file, which is nice, and put it back in. So this is very nice. Besides from that, volume rockers for the sample and the beat volume, they start out on mid-level, I guess. Mid-level for my low impedance headphones is pretty loud. So yeah, that's about it. I have this case, it's close up. It has rubber feeds on it, so it doesn't move around that much when it's on a surface. It still has a hinge, so it will be cumbersome if I have it on my lap. I maybe experiment with some threads and tracks to put in here, or clamps or whatnot, to have a bigger rigid surface to put on. And did I forget something? No, it's a great little device. The case itself is pretty heavy right now, but of course not as heavy as a turntable. So yeah, what else is there to say? I guess that's it. Let me think for a while. Okay. Yeah. Just to reiterate, you need a rugged or a case. And in my case, I got a case. I got a case about the inner dimension about 5.5 centimeters high, 17 centimeters in length, and width was about 10 to 10.5 centimeters. I taped everything, the rugged inlay. I taped it with double-sided tape, and I put, if you can see, I put some dampers in here where the SC500 is. I put 3 layers of double-sided tape on the bottom of the SC500, glued it to the rugged inlay. The rugged inlay is glued to the shell. Same goes for the power bank and the switch. NAMETAG goes in here with magnets, so I can take it off. The other thing I have to fiddle about, I have to get myself adapter or 90 degrees angle for the USB-C charging port for the power bank, because right now it's a tight fit if I try to load it right here. The power bank has 5,000 milliampere. I already said that, I guess, but it takes a very long time to run this thing empty with the SC500. So if you charge it up, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how often, how long you use it. But I had this thing running for the last few days, just as a music player, to have one of the beats running in the background, and yeah, this thing wasn't nearly half empty, so it's quite nice. Throw in some small headphones, and you're good to go. Yeah. What else did I say? Oh, maybe you don't. I don't know all the buttons with the record and stuff, but what you can do is, or at least what I use a lot is, let me switch to another beat. You can change the pitch or the tempo, and the pitch changes accordingly, which is pretty nice if you want to cut on different tempos. For example, this beat is standard tempo, and if you hold the switch button here in the middle and the pitch button or the forward button simultaneously and move the platter, you change the pitch. And you can reset it, and you can go slower. And as we all know, cutting slower is harder. So there you go. You can train and constantly lower the tempo and try to get your funk on. Same goes for the sample. Let me stop that.
Still fussing about who be the best. Yes, y'all.
Anything test man me clean any gun.
About so what this changes is the numbers of sample needed for one revolution. So in the older firmware, for the SC1000, you could put in the number, I guess 2450 or something was like the regular revolution, 33 RPM per minute. I did tinker with that. 78 RPM corresponding spin or platter movement was too fast, but I was comfortable sitting at about 3,000 samples, so something between 33 and 40 RPM per minute. So because of this platter is very small, it's 8.5 centimeters in diameter. Of course, your movement of your fingers of your hand is way more. You have to be way more precise, because 1 centimeter movement here is way more movement of the playhead than you're accustomed if you scratch with 7, 10, or 12-inch records. Of course, the further away from the midpoint from the axle, of course, then the more or the less of your movement will correspond to the playhead. And so I tried to figure that out, which setting is nice for me, but cutting on an 8 centimeter platter it's not cumbersome for me, it's different. I personally prefer using the standard fresh and R samples, which are longer, wider, and I can have more movement and change the movement within the sample, and not what I personally am not able to do very well is doing these very precise steps and doing phrases and word cuts because you have to be very precise on a on a very short distance, and since the marker is not corresponding, if you have to play it moving, it takes more practice, at least for me. Maybe there are some people out there already having that mastered. I prefer just having this little rocker with me and being able to cut, even if it's just with the regular fresh and R sample, to practice, like a practice instrument. At home you can rock your techniques or whatever, but for on the road, on the go, this is great. This is really, I really enjoyed it. When I was small, as I said, I was dreaming about this, standing in the shower, my mind wandering off, and I was like, this would be great to have it in this form factor. And there you have it.